I've got a customer and we had done all this work, had a couple of hiccups, but went back and fixed these things. And it's like one of the first times that a customer's just been like, I'm not happy with this, which was frustrating because we did go back. The my painters that were there before, my guy sent his brother and it was just messy. But we went back through and I blue taped the heck out of it, made sure we went back and got everything and fixed everything. And she was still like, still not happy. I just put it off as like this customer is gonna be, we'll just move on and just it's the first time I've had that where just like I don't think I can please this person. Even if I'm like, because I've been like really trying to make sure like everything's nice and looks good and she's still yeah, not about it. But
Mhm.
anyways, the thing that's hard is so whenever I do a proposal, I go through everything and I'm very specific on we're doing the trim and we're doing the baseboards, the door frames, these couple doors very specifically, and then that's it or whatever. We get to the end, she's like, what about the crown molding? I was like, we didn't talk about the crown molding. We had talked about doing the trim and I even went through and confirmed it. And she's, I thought the crown molding was going to be done. And anyways, so that was a hard situation. She's like, that's I thought that was going to be done and like it wasn't on the proposal. And anyways, I ended up saying I could probably do it for 50% off and which would just be me paying my guys. And it just so happens that it's like way out there in Granbury, which is like not an area I really want to be in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's 25, 30 minutes away from me, but an hour away from everyone else. My guys live in
Mhm.
a farther place. So no one wants to go out there just to do a little trim
Yeah.
job. It was a bigger job. They were happy to go out there for the other stuff, but just to go out
Yeah.
there and do some crown, no one really wants to go out there. So I'm talking to her today, and I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to pretty much tell her, like, yeah, we can't do it. I'm not going to make any money. I don't think I'm going to make her happy on this. I'm expecting that there's going to be a little bit of, I might get a bad review from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious if there's any helpful tips or I don't know. Just, yeah, curious
Yeah.
what your thoughts are on that.
Okay. So a few things here. Pardon me, Dustin. I'll let you jump in. Let me. So anytime, first things first, right? Here are the principles. Anytime we have an upset customer, it's usually never the thing that they complain about. How do we find out what it is? So what we do is we go through a process called emptying the jug, and this is something we do with our wives too. Anytime they're upset, it's never usually about the thing that they say. It's the what they do is they throw out something first, and it's not until that they can trust us that they like truly share what it is. Like, how do we get there? So we ask them. We sit down when they're upset. We ask them, so what's wrong? And they might share X, and you say, okay, what else? And then they might say something else. What you do is you keep asking what's wrong until they say that's it. And then you say, okay, if there could be one more thing, what would it be? And usually one of two things happen. The real issue comes out, or they laugh because they finally feel heard and they smile. They're like, there's nothing else. That's everything. And it's just weird how it happens, but it's powerful. Ask April. We've gone through it. Whenever I screw up, ask her, or same thing with customers, especially the women. And they truly feel heard. And it's a big deal. And it's so free. And you're like, all right. And you got to the real issue. Okay. It's usually never the surface stuff, like the guys were rude or they showed up late or whatever the small things are. It's usually never that. One is anytime a customer is upset, make sure you get to the bottom of the issue by following the process of going through emptying the jug and asking what's wrong and then what else? What else? What else? And then when you feel like there's nothing else and they say that's it, say if there could be one more thing, what would it be? And it's either going to be the real issue or they're going to laugh and smile and say, yeah, that's it, that's everything. Now you know what the real issue is. And it's usually that we've lost their trust. Okay. And they've had a bad experience at some point with our
Yeah.
guys or whatever. Maybe they were in a rush and we blocked the driveway. We don't know. Maybe a washing brushes out in the yard or something. We don't know what it is, but we've lost their trust and they felt like they've had a bad experience. And once we lost their trust, now they don't trust us everywhere and they start picking everything apart.
Yeah.
Right? Because favor is everything. In this situation, okay, she says, I thought the crown molding was included. And what I would say is, it's not included because I didn't charge you for it. I didn't charge you for it. It's not included on the proposal, and I didn't charge you for it. Right? Make it a point that she didn't pay for it. I didn't charge you for it. And then ask her, say, what do you think is fair? And she might decide at that point, okay, he didn't charge you for it. And the question is, do you want to pay for it? Yes or no? And the whole part about him being an hour away, hopefully this is something we think about ahead of time, but I get it that the guy's not wanting to go all the way out there for an hour. That's a tough thing. So now here we are. you would offer, the problem is you offered her crown molding for half, but none of you guys want to go out there. We need to honor our word and find a way to fulfill it. Because you offered that, we have to fulfill it regardless if she's going to be a tough client or a bad review,
Yeah.
just so that we're operating with integrity. That's the hard part. And that's part of leadership. And sometimes these things happen. So what's that look like? We got to get our guys out there. Either we make them or we pay them more. But whatever it takes, we've got to follow through with that part because we told her we would do it. So we have to honor that. Bad review issue. If we get a bad review, that's no big deal. In fact, bad reviews are an opportunity to
Yeah.
truly show your character. You just respond in grace and truth.
Yeah. Yep.
That's right on. And I was just gonna say, far as just obvious process stuff, I use drip jobs, and I'm sure you do. I don't know what you use, but I use drip jobs in every single proposal I have. It's got areas included and areas not included. And I always
Mhm.
make sure those are on there and then review it. Say, hey, look, here's what we're painting and here's what we're not. And then that's the way it's all up front and it's done. I know it sounds so elementary and simple, but it sounds like if she went back to her proposal, there's no call out of any of that, is what it sounds like to me. So I would just
Yeah.
that perimeter on your templates, and just that way you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I use drip jobs as well. And I had that. So
You had that on there and it's already said what's not included and crowns listed.
I didn't have what's not included crown, but I had what's listed and it was
Yeah.
pretty specific. But I might put on there for
I
the
would
future.
call out like
Yeah.
crown, door jams, but make sure you call it specifically, because people can be very
Mm,
elementary and literal, too literal, and sometimes you got to make it easy for them. So
Yeah.
that's my only
Yeah.
thing that I felt compelled to
Yeah.
share. And your reputation's worth everything, right? So if you got to go out there and you got to eat some crow and eat a little money, it's the bad news travels way faster than good news does. At least that's what I found. You can gain a good reputation and lose it in 5 minutes. So I would just say, hey, whatever it takes, just, and like Steve said, you're an integrous person, just follow through with your integrity and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Sorry you have to deal with that, man. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately, it's just some crown molding, and it's not like $100,000 builder that you got to grind out with. Been there, and that reminded me of listing what not to do back in the day when I worked for builders getting started. That was the bigger list of what's not included. So thank you for that reminder, Dustin. It's been a while, but with builders, you absolutely need a longer list of what's not included. So before I divorced them and went direct to customer.